Today we are making my delicious giant caramel apple Pop-Tart. This is upsettingly good. So first things first, we need to get our caramel started. So to a saucepan, we're going to add 3/4 cup of sugar, 1/8 cup of water, give that a slight shake, and then we'll put that on the heat to boil. Once the mixture has reached your desired color, then you'll add 3 tablespoons of butter and give this a good mix. Don't be afraid if it bubbles up at you. Then add in 1/4 cup of heavy cream and a pinch of salt. Set it aside in another bowl to cool while you work on your apple mixture. Now to make this giant Pop-Tart, we are going to need pie crust. You can buy yours at the store or make yours homemade like I did. Some homemade caramel, your favorite apples, some lemon juice, cornstarch, sugar, and spices. So the first thing that we need to do is peel and chop our apples. I always like to play a little game with myself and see if I can peel the apple in one go. Now, I don't know about you, but Honeycrisp apples have always been my favorite, so that is what I'm using in today's recipe. But like I said, you can use your apple of choice. It looks like I might get it. Ah! It's completely fine to roughly chop the apples because we're going to be blitzing them down a little bit later. Now we're just going to add all of our ingredients into a medium saucepan. So that's 1 tablespoon of butter, all of your chopped apples, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, a pinch of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla, a squeeze of lemon juice, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and a tablespoon of water. Give everything a good mix and then get that on the heat. You're gonna let these apples cook down until they soften and the liquid thickens a bit. It is at this point that everybody in your house will start thanking you because it smells so good. After a few minutes, add 1 more tablespoon of water and then close the lid. This is gonna let those apples steam and soften up really nicely. I actually like to do this directly on the parchment paper or silicone mat that I'm gonna be baking it on. It just makes it a lot easier to work with. Once you have the first half of the dough rolled out, you'll cut it into the 12 by 8 inch rectangle, pop it on a baking tray, and pop it in the refrigerator. It's really important to keep your pastry cold when you're working with it, so pop that into the fridge while you're working on the second half. Once the apples have cooled properly, we're gonna pulse them in a food processor or a blender so that they can become a more spreadable consistency. Turn the blitzed apples into the pan that you cooked them in, just so that you don't waste another dish. And now it's time to add our caramel. Mix about half of that luscious caramel in with that blitzed apple mixture and give everything a good stir. It's time to assemble our giant caramel apple Pop-Tart. I have here my 2 chilled rectangles of pastry, my caramel apple filling, and an egg wash to brush the top. Now I'm gonna carefully add this filling, making sure to leave a 1-inch border to protect it from any leakage or spillage. Now with quick and confident moves, we take our second layer of pastry and put it right over top of our first layer. Just like that. Now we're really looking like a giant Pop-Tart. Now brush your pastry generously with an egg wash in order to get that shine, and bake at 365 degrees Fahrenheit until the top is golden brown. Once our giant Pop-Tart has cooled properly, it's time to assemble with our glaze, which is just a mixture of powdered sugar, cinnamon, milk, and caramel. Definitely give this recipe a try this fall and holiday season. You can find the entire recipe and full instructions on my blog at karisbakes.com. You can follow me along on Instagram and TikTok at Karis's Corner. This is upsettingly good. The pastry melts in your mouth, the caramel apple filling is delicious and perfectly spiced. The cinnamon caramel glaze on top just brings it all together. You're definitely gonna wanna make this recipe this fall and holiday season.